Let's try something a little different today. I've got a lovely coffee here from Calendar Coffee. Got a Toledo Wave, got a V60, and I've got two dice. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll these two dice. Even numbers, we go with the V60. Odd numbers, we go with Toledo. And whatever the number is will determine where I set my grinder. So we're going to go somewhere between a 55 and a 65. And the dice will tell us where. So, what do you think? Should we do? Let's do it. Bring it back in. Bring it back in. So you can see that is a 5, and I believe on this one, that is a 1, which would make this a 6. Yeah, because there's the 6. So that's the 1. So it's a 6. So that means we're going to set the grinder at 55, 56, 78, 9, 60. And what did I say? I said even numbers. Nate, what did I say? Even numbers, Toledo Wave. Confirmation. Toledo Wave. I'll go back and I'll recheck and just make sure that that's what I said, but the dice have spoken. Hey, it's Countertop Chaos, and I'm Seth. And right now, today, as you're watching this, I'm breaking one of my own rules. And I want to tell you a little bit about why I'm breaking one of my own rules. So let me just start with what the rule is. The rule's pretty simple. My rule is I do Countertop Chaos in one take, and that's it. No reshoots, nothing like that. There was one time where the camera didn't actually turn on, so I ended up having to. But aside from that, that's the rule. You shoot it one time, and you let the chaos happen, and you let it be what it is, and that's that. Well, as you may have noticed, in the disconnect between the beginning and right now, I'm wearing different clothes. This is my second shot. I'm shooting it again, and that's breaking a rule. And I'm one of those people that's out on these streets talking about things like creativity loves constraints, and that's part of the reason that you make the rules and you stick to them is because it kind of lets you be creative and operate within those constraints. Um, and I still believe that that's true, and I'm still breaking the rule. Because here's what happened on the first one. First one actually had a lot of chaos that was out of sight, not visible, but very much present. In that it was the school holiday, my kids were home, and I had basically like a 10-minute window to get set up and shoot. Um, and so I did, but there were lots of things that I overlooked, like namely the fact that the camera shut off halfway through. Um, and so what I did at first was I went back and was like, no, no, creativity loves constraints. I'm going to work with this. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take where it cut off, and then I'm going to record like a confessional video where I'm going to explain it and talk about what it was and maybe revisit the things that I had been saying. And here's the reality. I did that. Uh, I recorded it. I put it all together, and I had a moment. And the moment was this. I just kind of looked at it and realized, like, it was, whatever, 8-10 minutes long. And I myself would not spend 8 to 10 minutes watching it. It didn't feel like it was worth 8 to 10 minutes of my own time watching it. And that just made me think, man, if I don't believe that, if I don't have that level of conviction about what I've done that I think it's worth even my own time, why on earth should anybody else spend any time watching this? Uh, why even put that thing out into the world? And I think there's a lot of times where you know that what you're making is a minor piece of work. You know that you're doing something because it's maybe like honing a skill or exploring a theme, or like you know that it's not meant to be the best work that you've ever done. I mean, honestly, that's the whole of Countertop Chaos, right? Like this wasn't made to be any sort of masterpiece or masterwork, but it just didn't meet the threshold of something that I was going to be happy putting out into the world, that I knew I would be able to like stand behind and feel good about. And so I decided at that point that there was basically two options. Either just don't do it at all, move on to the next one, and be done with it, or uh, or break the rule. And I decided to break the rule. In part because I was like, well, this was supposed to be the last episode of this season. It was like the end of this whole project. I don't want to just abandon it and be done. In part, it's because where is my coffee? In part, it's because I forgot to put the coffee out. I had this great coffee from Calendar Coffee in Ireland. They're my favorite Irish roaster, and I wanted to be able to say that. And so that was another part of it. Uh, and in part, it was because I felt like actually this reflection on like when is it actually worth breaking your own rules? When is it worth pushing back and defying some of the constraints that you've created? I think that's a legitimate question. I think as a general rule, creativity loves constraints is a great rule. I think it's been so helpful. It often helps me to see things that I wouldn't otherwise have seen because I have to do a fundamental reframe. But in this case, it wasn't producing the thing that it needs to produce, which is work that not even amazing work, but just work that I feel good enough to stand behind. And so there is a point at which you say, you know what, that's not worth it. And especially if the rules are self-imposed rules, um, then you also have the freedom to choose if you want to change them. And in my case, that's what I've done. Um, and I think sometimes that's what you need to do. And I don't know, this is probably not the greatest video ever. It's definitely not. Last night I watched the Veritasium video about the creation of the blue LED light. That's amazing. You should watch that. I'm gonna link it in the notes. Um, but it's something that I feel like I can stand behind, and I think that's important. So this is it. This is the last coffee of Countertop Chaos Season 1. It's from Calendar Coffee in Ireland, like I said. I love these guys. Their packaging, I'm so sad I didn't put it out because it is delightful and adorable. Uh, and I'm going to enjoy this, and I hope you do too.